All right, so let's kick things off with pausing visual queries. Now, simply put, pausing visuals temporarily stops queries from running. And what that means is that requests or updates that are being sent to the underlying data are not processed when queries are paused. And what's great is that when queries are paused, Power BI adds this banner directly above the report canvas that indicates that the queries are paused and lets you refresh them on an ad hoc basis or really clear the pause and resume the visual queries. Now, there's a couple of things that are important to keep in mind when visuals are paused. First, all changes and updates are held in a waiting area and are marked as the visual has pending changes. So once a refresh is triggered or visual queries are unpaused, any queries marked as visual has pending changes will be processed. So the way that I like to think about this is imagine you have a line of shoppers that are waiting to check out at a grocery store or a market. Now, all of those shoppers are waiting in line for the cashier to open and to start processing their purchases, but they're really on hold until the cashier starts. So again, pretty basic example there, but that's kind of how I think about this. Second, you'll notice that the banner above the report canvas, it indicates visual queries have been paused and provides two different actions. You can either manually refresh all pending queries, or you can remove the pause and resume all visual queries and updates as they're made. Third, a refresh button is added to each visual on the report that is set to interact with another visual. Now, the individual refresh button allows you to update the specific visual instead of all pending queries, right? So it's targeting a specific visual instead of refreshing all of them. And again, this is a great technique to employ when you're working on updates to one specific visual and really want to QA the updates as you work, but not wait for all of the visuals on the page to update. Fourth, you can speed up your DAX measure and calculated column process by adding, moving, and removing calculations without having to wait for visuals to process the updates. And then last but not least here, our formatting options are blocked while visuals are paused. Formatting options are based on the data in the visual, and when the visual is in a pending state, because the changes are on hold, formatting actually isn't available. All right, so let's head over to our AdventureWorks file and we'll check some of these out. All right, so we're back in our AdventureWorks report, and you can see here in our ribbon view, we've got this optimize ribbon. And if you're not seeing this, it's likely because it is still a preview feature. So you just need to come over into your options and settings and then navigate to the preview features section and make sure the optimize ribbon is checked. So once you've got the optimize ribbon here, you can click into it and you can see that we've got our pause queries, our optimization presets, performance analyzer, and our apply all slicers button here. So first things first, let's turn on our pause visual queries. And you can see as soon as we click it, we get our banner on top of the reporting canvas, right? And we've got a couple of different options here. We've got a refresh option. And if we click, it's going to refresh all of the visuals or pending queries on the page. We can resume visual queries here as well. So if we click that, it's going to remove the banner and everything's going to refresh. And again, to restart this or to pause visuals again, we just come back, click pause visuals, and we get that same banner here. Really straightforward. I think it makes a lot of sense here. So what happens now once we start interacting with visuals? Let's say we're doing some report development or we're just kind of clicking around and we want to filter and stuff. So if we click on a data point and we can see that the visuals tried to process an update, but nothing actually changed, right? And now we've got these little header icons or header banners that says visual has pending changes with a refresh button, right? So we can click this refresh button to actually apply those changes, right? So now when we apply it, we see these values change, and now we're looking at our orders by category only on our specific date that's been selected from the line chart here. Again, same thing goes for all of the other visuals here. One thing that you will notice is that on our KPI cards here, we actually don't see this same individual refresh option. And the reason for that is because we have disabled interactions between the line chart and these KPI visuals. So keep that in mind, as you're doing your report development. If you don't see this individual refresh option populate, it's likely because the interactions have been disabled between the visuals. All right, so again, we can click on another data point here, and what you'll see, again, our revenue, profit, orders, return rate, all these KPIs are unchanged. You actually can't see it very well. I'm actually going to close this dialog box. These all have refresh icons here as well. So again, you could go through and manually refresh that. Or if you wanted to refresh all of these visuals after you made the updates, you can come back up here, click refresh visuals, and this is going to refresh everything that is pending. All right, so one other thing that's important to note here is the whole formatting being disabled. I've selected an individual point here. We see that visuals have pending changes. So let's click on our matrix here, and let's say that we wanted to update some of the formatting contained within the matrix. All right, we come back to our formatting options here, click more options, and you see our formatting pane is blank, right? To format your visuals, refresh it, or resume visual queries. So giving you two options here. We could either resume visual queries for the entire report, or once we click refresh and process the pending changes for this specific visual, we now get access to the formatting options within the formatting pane. Just something to keep in mind there, where it's important to understand when the formatting options are and are not available in that pending state. All right, so that's really pausing and refreshing visual queries in Power BI. I think from here, let's refresh all visuals. Awesome. So again, it's pretty straightforward here, and it can certainly come in handy when developing reports that take a long time to process visual queries. Up next, let's take a look at optimization presets.